sometimes it pays to invest. If you bought stock in Garbina Muguruza about 2.5 years ago, you'd be paying off a pretty good dividend as of now, because she's the reigning #1 player in the world. She takes the court for her first match as she sees that it gets off to a hot start between these two, and why not? These two can really bring some aggression and some quality tennis to the forefront. We hope to see it today, starting with the Czech Republic's third-ranked player, number 31 in the age category, 29 on the tally, Barbara Strycova.
Yeah, and such a good competitor. I mean, she's such a good fighter. Even when you feel like you're in a good position to maybe get on top of her, she's just comes up with some great shots, has a lot of variety to her game, and she really makes you play. So it's going to be a tough match, I think, for Muguruza, a tough matchup because of the variety that Strycova has in her game.
Yeah, she can really bring it, and she has already tested Muguruza a few times. We'll talk about their head-to-head in a moment. First and foremost, though, we have to turn our attention to the woman who's earned that position. Certainly had a terrific season, and even though she was ousted considerably early as she was trying to make a threat for a second major in 2017, losing in the U.S. Open in a very difficult match to Petra Kvitova, she did ascend to #1, and now in 3 weeks in that position, the 23-year-old looking to make a nice little push. As we said, wants to build some momentum and give herself a viable shot. Along with that Wimbledon title, she backed it up nicely in Cincinnati, capturing the trophy there, and there's a lot to hang her hat on this year.
Yeah, I mean, what's been impressive since after that Wimbledon win is the way she's really carried herself well throughout the U.S. hardcourt season, and you know, that win at the French Open last year, the way she wasn't able to handle the expectations as well.
That she hopes will result in, at worst, a late push, at best, a title run in Beijing at the China Open. Disappointment last year for Garbina, something we didn't have a chance to talk about in the warm-up. And then coming in as the defending champion, and lost in the round of 16, pretty considerable to Petra Kvitova, 1-4. The year prior, able to pick up the biggest title of her career. Got the premier mandatory with a run past Falcone, Lucic Baroni, Maddox Sands, Radwanska, and beat Bashinsky in the championship match. That was 2 years ago, and set the stage for what would be the march right up the rankings and pick up her first major in 2016. It's been a steady build since. Obviously picks up a second major this year on a different surface.
Oh, right away in this game, Strycova looking to be a little bit more aggressive. A lot of times she just tends to roll that forehand down the line a little bit, trying to get depth, but that time really stepping up, going after it. She knows she's not going to get away with just putting the ball on the court against Muguruza.
Quality put away. Now she maneuvers towards an easy hold.
14-15.
easy does it, except that Muguruza can't quite finish from 40-15 to deuce. Something about some places, though, Jill, they just lend themselves towards those good feelings. And, of course, if you've won a title, you're always looking forward to getting back to that. Beijing, fond memories for... Wow, remarkable adjustment as Strycova basically just tripped over a wire. Somehow she regained her composure and her balance.
I don't know what happened. She just lost her footing a little bit, but that's one of her strengths. Is she is so quick around the court. But as you saw there, so quick to adjust the feet if it's difficult ball. If their ball takes a little bit of a strange bounce.
Strycova makes the most of a late opportunity. Garbine 40-15, not enough. Strycova gets the break for 1-love.
And Strycova definitely not the type normally in her matches to get nervous either. I mean, and that's a lot to do with the fact that she relies on her footwork so much. She relies on her speed, and she knows she can just force her opponents to hit that extra ball.
As mentioned, now in her third tournament as the #1 player in the world, Muguruza. She started out in Tokyo with a couple of wins, then lost to Wozniacki in the semifinals, got to Wuhan, where she'd been a finalist before, reached the quarters and lost to Ostapenko, ultimately 4-2 in the victories over Puig, Garcia, Sorenko, and Linette, upended by those losses by top 10 opponents. So there's certainly nothing to be disappointed in the fact that it was quality that got the better of her. But ultimately, she'll want to made a deeper push. And yeah, back to the spot where she picked up her second career title. Remember, we're only talking about 5 titles to her credit. But a premier mandatory and 2 majors.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that'll do. And Cincinnati's nothing to smirk at. And you know what? Go all the way back to her first ever tournament title. Coming in Hobart early in 2014. Don't want to disrespect the people of Tasmania, Joe.
No, of course not.
And that was her maiden title. That's one she won't forget either.
I mean, a lot of players go throughout their whole career not even winning 1 title. So every tournament matters. That's what these players play for, is those titles to their name.
Strycova back to Beijing, where she hasn't really enjoyed very much success. A 1-5 record entering this match against the #1. Only win coming last year against Siegerman of Germany before losing to Kerber in straight sets. So doesn't particularly have the same kind of fond memories that her opponent does. But the fun part about Strycova and Barbara is the fact that, you know, she's got that fight. She doesn't care about all that sort of stuff.
No.
She's right out there. I'm going to play. I'm coming to gun for you right now, Miss World #1.
Yeah, good move there by Muguruza. And that's something we've seen her add to her game so much, as her transition game, looking to move forward a little bit more. I mean, she hits with such good pace off the ground. I know her coach, Sam Sumick, is trying to get her to take some of those balls out of the air a little bit more often. Well, she guessed right. Just rushed that last volley a little bit, Muguruza. Strycova loves a target, so if she has someone coming in against her, she's definitely not going to make the error, but good coverage there at the net from Muguruza. Just made the unforced error on the volley.
Strycova able to get the hold despite a bit of adversity in her opening service game. That does her very well if she wants to post one of the biggest wins of her career, arguably the biggest if she's able to knock off the #1. Well, this is exactly how she'd like to begin. 2 games played, both on her side of the ledger.